Hello and welcome to episode 44 of our Timberborn Update 6 Waterbeavers playthrough here. It's cycle 48, day 15. Got about 1 day left before we have a drought on our hands here. And we are pretty well prepared at this point for basically any drought or any bad tide that comes our way in terms of provisioning with water and food and all that good stuff. So I don't think we really need to be that worried about it anymore. But of specific interest to several of you, I have installed and enabled the Simple Floodgate Triggers mod, which is going to allow us to set this in place for bad tides. So, and I still don't really love this, but it's just going to have to be what we do to turn things on when bad tides start. I'm not going to automate bad tide ending stuff because that's not going to be fleshed out in time. When the bad tide starts, we can have all of these things set perfectly correctly, and I'll just have to manually do everything when the bad tide ends. There's no way to do it otherwise. Not even the timer or the advanced or whatever. No way to do it otherwise. So, at the very least, when a bad tide comes, this one will be fine. And when a bad tide starts, this one will be set to 0. We'll have to remember to reset it. When a bad tide starts, this one will have to be set to 0. And by 0, I mean 2. I'm very tired. But the show must go on. I also wanted to take a moment to talk, since we're already over here, about these terrain blocks that we've started building here. Because I think what's going to make just so much more sense, and a couple of you have caught on to this, why don't we, if we're going to have water coming into this area, why don't we just include the clay pits and the Lido in that, and just reroute all of the water, whatever it is, going off the edge of the map, through another path? So what we can do here, we can take these out. This one hasn't even been started yet, but we can stop them from putting the dirt in there, and instead, peel this back, see how this is set up. Yeah, see, we would very much benefit, I think, from removing this Lido here and just bringing this all the way out straight and then putting a Lido or two on top of whatever dirt or levees or whatever that we can get put in place so that we can have a much bigger space for nenophares and also for beaver bathing. I had to say that one correctly. And then clay pits. So I believe that is going to be the right move for us to choose here. Now, because we're having a drought coming up, we're not going to have to worry about, oh, we have to protect things from bad tides. Well, no, not right now. So what we can do instead is come right out here and strategically place terrain blocks. Now remember, in Waterbeavers, the levees can go on any same height terrain. So I can put a levee here, I can put a levee here, here, so on and so forth. And then we'll have one more dirt block that will go here, and we'll support a levee here and here, and then a levee on this. And so that way we only have to have 3 dirt blocks, which is going to be so much faster to build. I'm trying to put a whole bunch of these things in there. And the levees get built a little bit more quickly as well, so we won't have to worry about that. I'm not going to get rid of this Lido quite yet, just because it is going to take some time for us to put all of this dirt in place. But once that's done, it should be substantially easier for us to handle things. So, we're going to let them take care of that. Also, want to try and start putting in some larger water wheels. We do, in fact, have some of these blueprints, if I can remember which one's which. Yes, fancy washing machine, balloon trader, floodgate dam, large farmhouse. Okay, I have 4 large water wheel fancy blueprints. I don't have storage for it. I probably should build storage for it, but again, because we're about to have a drought, we have an opportunity here to do something that is going to be extremely beneficial, and that is to take this water wheel out, take this power shaft T intersection out, and then put in something on top of here that's going to allow me to place one of these large water wheels. And the reason that's going to be fine is because the Waterbeavers version of the large water wheel has connections on 3 sides of the nub instead of just the end. So that can just go right into this gravity battery here and be a tremendous help. And these are powered from below, so this won't be a problem. And then once that's put in place, we can continue coming through here and modifying this with the help of additional dirt placed strategically. But it might not be that first cycle that this is something we can reasonably accomplish. There's tons of other stuff we have to do today. Or I should say we get to do, because it's always fun to just point the game in a direction, say go, and figure out what happens along the way. But we've got a lot of things to accomplish. We don't need to be worrying about other stuff too much. But I did want to talk about the mechanized water pumps with the simple floodgate triggers mod. There we go. We can automatically pause these when bad tide starts, but we don't really need to pause them because I'm pretty sure they don't consume power if there's no water coming through them. But the really, really helpful thing with the simple floodgate triggers mod is being able to control these guys and these houses that are also pumps and everything like that. The system we've had right now for a while has been fine. I don't think we really need to be that worried about it, but worth discussing at any rate. Get that triple speed going. There's so much we have to talk about. You guys have so many helpful ideas and comments that I am never going to be able to get around to all of them, but I do try to respond to as many as I can, and I do read every single one. But now we're in a 6-day drought, so we'll take that out of the turbo speed here. We've got an opportunity in this exact area to make that where we put the high temperature foundry. It will fit, and it does have kind of an annoying method of getting hooked up from only one spot because it is Waterbeavers, but we do have power shafts all over this area, and I think this is going to be the best place for us to put it. I also would like to make provisions for having more than one of these. The high temperature foundry, of course, is also a house to 20 beavers. Or not a house to 20 beavers. It's a worker place for 20 beavers. They don't live here because they're not insane people. But there are other buildings of the advanced variety that do house beavers, like the advanced sawmill and all these other things. So you have to keep that in mind. And if we are going to have the high temperature foundry over here, we're going to have places for the beavers to live, and maybe shuffle some other industries around so things will work appropriately. But yes, long term, I do think at least one of these over here is going to be a good idea. And we may want to spread some others around the map as well, depending on how things go. But that will just take time. The ENS, we have 2 beavers currently gathering stuff for the Masters in Metallurgy for us to be able to build it. But we've been lagging behind severely on supplies because I only have 2 beavers in here. I'm going to tick the Prioritize by Haulers box so they start bringing things in. And then we should be able to, hopefully, get that taken care of a little bit more quickly without having to have a whole bunch of extra beavers working in there and taking things away from the rest of the map. Okay, so this is going to take, a billion years because that's just how it goes. We can, first of all, take care of that. Set this off. Yeah, imagine that you're taking a bath and then they're just setting off, explosives behind you to expand the bathhouse. Like, just normal things for beavers at least. Plant a couple more lotuses over there, so we'll have some additional nennephars, and by a couple more, I mean we're literally doubling the amount we've planted in here. And I do want to expand this entire thing to be that double depth. The large farmhouse does have sufficient range for us to be able to use just about all of this, I'm pretty sure. But that will, of course, just take time. Now, we have the ability, we have the materials, we have the technology. Research the large water wheel. Remove water wheel. Remove power shaft T intersection. Remember, this is regular dirt. This is not a blockage here. So now I believe this worked last time I did this. And if it does not work, then it will be no one's fault but my own. I need to remove my... Ah. Okay, the problem I'm going to run into is I can't have this... First of all, I can't even click on this. Come on, man. Alright, the hitboxes for the gravity battery have been discussed at length. But I need this blockage, I think, to go away for me to be able to put a large water wheel here. And if that blockage goes away, then we might end up having bad water come over. Well, that was my elbow that just made that horrifying cracking noise. Because once I remove this, I can't put it back. And I don't think it's going to be an issue, because it's already coming off of this side. If this is all the way up, as it is at this exact moment in time, the collision mesh on this might not match the the shape of the actual asset. But I'm just so curious. I think it's probably fine. Oh, I'm gonna have to take this down again to demolish that and come in here with that other thing. But we already know that's in place there. We do need to reconnect this so that all of this is accessible. And the large water wheel is a 5-block long wheel, which means that if we wanted to put another one in, I would have to replace this blockage with a thing of dirt, and then get this connected somehow to here. Remember, this will directly connect to that gravity battery, and that'll be fine. And it will give us more power than the normal water wheel. How much more, I can't tell you at this exact moment in time. But I'm very, very interested to see... Oh, I'm going to have to scroll this down every single time. Yeah, let's just focus on getting these things taken care of. Let's also click here. Yeah, it's 0 HP. Okay, someone asked about that, and I couldn't remember, so I had to verify that. Things looking okay. Alright, so these guys here are obviously not working because the building is non-functional. It does kick them out for that. I want so badly for this to be, the larger water wheels, but I don't think that's going to work. Yeah, and some genius left this all the way down, and I know. I don't like using this mod because I always forget. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but I guess it's close enough. At least for what we're trying to do. Right, so let's power through the rest of the night here. We've slowly been taking these sunflowers out of here so that we can eventually blast most of this down so it can be in range of the super fertilizing irrigation tower bath, which is a much better scenario for our beavers that are going to be needing to take a bath in the irrigation while they also super fertilize their plants. And you can see here that these guys are slowly becoming less and less irrigated because of the inefficiencies of this building and also declining water levels here because we are pumping. You know how it goes. We've spent so much time thinking and talking about this, I don't even need to keep going with that. I'm very curious to see just how quickly they can get these terrain blocks in place. It's very likely it's like another cycle and a half before this is actually viable to have as a, not a Lido, but until everything else is ready to go, then I'm going to leave this in place so they at least have something to do. We also, up here, now have everything locked and loaded. To pop this guy in, it says it's too far from a district. Well, that would be because they can't reach the nub. I'm pretty sure they can't actually build this from below. Though these guys coming in here for the primitive ironworks don't seem to care. I don't really have a great way to get up here, because like you'd think they'd be able to do it, but I guess that's not the case. And this mini crappy warehouse, the easiest thing for us to do, not going to be a popular thing, I understand, but easiest thing for us to do is going to be to take that out and have them come up this way. It's not going to let me place this here, huh? Okay. Well, that is the top of the factory. Yeah, they can't reach this. I can't build directly on top of the blockage before anybody asks, because it is a blockage, and it does things, including blocking. So, that's why that doesn't work. But I really thought that the skewer platform was going to be a viable option for us here. I guess that's not the case. I'd really hate to have to remove this just to build a water wheel. But at the same time, it's probably going to be fine. I only have like 100 of these, but I don't need them to build that, so easiest thing for us to do, just to let these guys in here, because this does need to be completed, is just to do that, and then we'll come in later to try and fix other parts of that whole thing. Yeah, still 900 dirt left here. So it was going to be time here in just a moment to take a look at the rest of my list. But I do want to check and see. Okay, great. Almost no change whatsoever. Even though we do have other things in this district that can be brought in. Well, I'll just chalk it up to there only being a couple of beavers in there, and I guess we're just going to have to bring in some more. Because we have to we have to have this finished. It's been so long between now and any other major scientific achievement these beavers have made, and it's episode 44. We got to get things rolling along quicker. So let's go and look at a couple of other questions you guys posed in the comments, specifically relating to the bridges. So as we know, the suspension bridges of the 5 and 6 long variety have this kind of structure on the back that requires it to be 2 blocks long for something to anchor to. I was asked if you can use a skewer platform in service of achieving this goal. It doesn't seem that the skewer platform will attach to a ladder. It's only cliffs, watertight buildings, or giant pillars. So unfortunately, that's not going to work. I did think that was a very smart idea, but then I also had the idea, independently of that, we can just do this. We'll put the suspension bridge here, and it doesn't even care that there's something here. That's just for support. So I am going to, obviously keep this because that's how it connects, but this could very, very easily just go this way with minimal weeping, gnashing of teeth, so on and so forth. But we'll get to that when we get to it. There's still plenty that has to be done before we do that. And I'm sure you're so tired of hearing me say it will just take time that I can just leave that to your imagination and let these guys do what they've got to do. Now, I do need to have a place for the fancy blueprints to go so they can be retrieved. I'm 99% sure. Also, we just, we need to have blueprint storage anyway, so not going to cause too many problems with that. We do need to have them continue messing with these things. But I am much more interested in just having things finished rather than spending a whole bunch of time on, designing something that looks super great for this. This is not a mod you can take your time and be aesthetic with unless you have the luxury of, editing your videos down. But that will go there. That's fine. Oh, these are all just unprettified blueprints. That's not going to be something we need to focus too much on. There's also the issue of pathing here. I've been reminded that this path is not connected to here, which means anyone coming from this thing has to go all the way around. Actually, not even to here. They have to go here, 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 here. When I can solve, or at least help fix, so many of those problems with just a simple staircase. Now, I don't think I want to put it here because this is land we can use to grow things. But we can do something very simple, just like that. Make it a little bit less of an ordeal, shall we say, to get over there. Now, this is... Okay, they do have the blueprint in place, so maybe I didn't need to build storage for that specifically, but I do want to have storage so we can continue duplicating things and get a move on from there. They're going to continue working on this. We do have another 4 days. That is fine. Over here in the Downriver District, we have Still 117 dirt. You know, they're doing what they can. It's alright. Gonna be okay. The district in the corner, / district in the corner, depending on what you choose to call it, is seeming to do pretty well. Although, long term, there's still other stuff we want and need to add, and we also need to do more stuff with balloons and probably move all the balloons into its own balloon district. But for right now, I think we can leave this alone for the most part, unless something horrible comes up. Speaking of balloons, sky exploration points. We do have to have those for a variety of other things. We do have 77. I think we can just keep this going for the time being. I have storage for 200 of them. We're going to need them. There's still all these other ones we haven't unlocked. And then, you know, you don't need them for the airship necessarily. But you do have to have enough balloons to get the materials to facilitate the production and upgrades and research and everything to get you to the point of having 20,000 science to unlock the airship. So, I'm going to keep running that. I know somebody mentioned, like, hey, check that out. You have plenty now. You probably can do something else. Like, yeah, okay, we could. We absolutely could. You're not wrong. But I don't want to have to rebuild it again. Where is that? There it is. I don't want to have to build this again. Because every time you take one of these down, it takes 1 billion years to build again. And, you know, it is kind of a slow process to get all this going. In the meantime, we just let these guys do what they got to do. We have to have more methane first before we really worry about too much of anything else. And that is one of the reasons why we're working on this. See, everything's connected, right? We've talked about this before. Okay, so that's picking up speed kind of nicely. 4 beavers in here have, I guess, technically made an impact with that. Still waiting largely on the scrap metal, which, again, we're working on. We are sure trying, I'll tell you that. It's just, you know. Oh, this is lagged because there's nowhere for the scrap metal to go? How does that make sense? Okay, this district okay, that's why. That's absolutely why. Well then, that's going to be an interesting problem for us to solve, because now I have no dirt in storage. I've got 2 things of coal, 2 things of iron. I've got waste rock. At risk of causing additional issues, I'm going to put this here for scrap metal, because you know this is an output of that, so I guess that makes sense. And then we will put in a ladder here so we can actually access that. That will help. Let's prioritize, because you know they're going to spend all their time, if they have the ability, over here popping in terrain blocks. That should have always been fixed. I hadn't done that. Now that's been taken care of. And since we're here, this scroll display for sky exploration points is a very nice building to have, but it needs to go somewhere else, because I've been informed that yes, I could have fit the large storages if I removed that and then just blasted out a couple more of these things here. Very achievable goal. Super easy. All we had to do is just, you know, make better choices with how we have things laid out. Grab these cabbages out of here if they ever decide they want to harvest those. Well, I guess they're coming to it right now because they can actually reach it. That's probably the reason why they hadn't been taken somewhere else. Well, regardless, scroll display for sky exploration points needs somewhere to go. This is empty for paper, that's empty for pencil sets, but those are both required for this, so I don't want to move them. And we will need to have it on the correct side of the district crossing. This lumberjack flag, I'm going to say, can go away. And in its place, we will do a scroll display for the sky exploration points. If that's even what they're called, points. Can't be sure. But now that that's taken care of, it's going to open up opportunities here to blast that out. And then we'll have a big one for cabbages and a big one for green peas. And things will be just a little bit nicer over here. It's one of those things that I'm like, really? Like, I didn't think of that before, but you guys do a good job of keeping me honest about those things. So that's going to help. I guess Maybe during a drought's not the best time to do this because it can't get refilled and it could cause levels to go down, but I think with where we are now, it's probably going to be fine for us to blast the rest of this out. We do have a couple more pieces of dynamite that need to be popped in, and then I can have this taken care of as well. I was also asked if, you know, the river bath could go on top of platforms, and I did not remember when I was writing that comment if I had done it before, but let's just check real quick. The answer is yes, so we absolutely can do that. I guess there could be some sort of utility for having it up on top of a platform so you can have a path go underneath it to get somewhere else or whatever, but honestly for right now this is probably fine. The water level should be kept high enough where this isn't going to be an issue long term. Just have to let it be what it's going to be. Somebody else also asked if a single trebuchet is enough for all of our rocks. Now every hour this can dispose of 10 rocks, assuming it's, you know, going 24 hours a day, whatever. Every 6 hours, this drill gives us 20 rocks. So, you divide that by 6, it's not quite even, but it's still less than the trebuchet is able to take care of. And this, of course, has the same thing. So, 2 of these together ends up being like, I don't know, 6 something, maybe 7 per hour. And this can do 10. So, we're still good for right now. If we build any more of these, then we are going to need to have additional trebuchets, but today is not that day. I also thought about continuing to, you know, blast this out, but I didn't want to do that because that would use a whole lot of dynamite that we could use for other purposes, like, for example, blasting this out. And this is going to end up being a very good height for us to get everything connected here. Remember, we'll take a look at this again. And the entrance for the power on this is on the 2nd level. So if I blasted the entrance to the building to be the same as this right here, that would mean this would be the same, the power would be the same height as these power shafts over here, which would be super convenient. But we don't have to do it that way. We could, you know, flip it around the other way and have the entrance to the building be here. It would be a whole lot less efficient, but that would allow us to then hook power into the side of a gravity battery if we felt so inclined. But I do think long term the best option is going to be for us to come in here with triple dynamites and just take out all of this. Of course it would do that to me. I believe this building's 4 wide. It is in fact 5 wide. Okay, I was a little bit wrong here. So those are triples, and then these doubles probably don't need to go away, but these definitely do. Let's just check the length dimensions on this again. Yeah, if I'm going to want that to back up to there. We also have this path to, you know, get worried about. But if we extend our demolition to this right here, then that means I can move this mushroom grower back 1 more, and then that means I can move the path back 1 more, and then I can have a little power bridge coming up over this. Or I could run the power underneath, or I could run the path on top. All sorts of options. Many, many, many options. But now we have to be able to get in here, which, for where we are now, is probably going to be most easily achieved. Not by replacing this with a ladder, although maybe at some point that would be fine. Just going to simply put a couple stairs in here, not worry about it, and move on with our lives. Another thing that people wanted me to check and see is if we have the ingredients in our downriver district to make braised cabbage over here. And I'm happy to report that we already have that going, so perhaps you just missed that, but this is being made in here, which, you know, we're growing mushrooms, we're growing cabbage, we have logs because we have a tree farm. This has been in the works for a long time. Like, it's been working for a long time. Not in the works as in we've been trying to do it, but there you go. I can build another one, but I think for right now this is fine. Food in this district has been quite good for quite some time. Set this off. This is empty, which means it can be removed. And then that is going to give us a chance to put in the large warehouses here, like you guys wanted to see. So because this is already built, I'm going to change this over to green peas. And then that means this one can be emptied. And then this one here can be built for cabbages. Just as soon as that's taken care of. I know we're building a lot of stuff in this district, and it's one of those things where you can't do everything all at once, all at the same time. That's what all at once means. Good job, me. You just have to let them do what they can do when they can do it. And then that is just how that has to be. Other things of concern in your comments, mostly related to me trying to, you know, fix stuff I already said I was going to fix, or address things we haven't quite yet addressed. But we've made some pretty good progress toward most of this stuff, and some of it I haven't read out loud. I've just been working on whatever, but I think now is the time for us to just really, really focus on getting more stable power production, enabling more stable metal production, which we've been doing this for a really, really, really long time. But there's always more work we can do. We do have our large water wheel. It is connected here. And for right now, this is going to mean that we need to put back the primitive ironworks, which, for the purposes of what we're doing now, I understand can be moved over, which will leave access back here for us to get at other things. This mechanics lodge being placed where it was something that I did as a stopgap to, well, literally stop up the gap and not let bad water into our town area here. But this is not an ideal scenario for how this is going to be set up, folks. I think we can get out of this without too many problems if I were able to replace this block here with a piece of dirt, and then I can put a levee on it, and then I can put a levee on this side in place of the blockage, and then on top of the levee I can put one of the platforms, and then on top of that I can put another large water wheel, and then we can connect these two, and it's going to make a ton of power, and things should get a whole lot better, a whole lot faster. But that's not going to be a today thing, because you've seen how slow the whole process of putting dirt into dirt blocks is in this mod. It's intentionally obtuse, because this mod is supposed to be about suffering. So we do have a bunch of dirt on the ground, which does mean we have more than, what, like 500 that it shows we have here. It's just one of those things. You got to let them do the work. We do have 4 beavers working as builders. I don't have any other builder housing things here. I'm pretty sure this is all hauling beavers. Yeah, it should be. So, again, it's just going to take time. But this one being in place means that we can... Oh, I absolutely blasted that way too deep. And that was also the wrong one for me to set off. Wow. Incredible. Alright, well, it's fine. I had them prioritize this one. Because I saw, oh, this is finished, and it's right next to the mushrooms, and I set it off, like, that's not what I needed to do. Anyway, they'll get that done, and then we can move the mushroom grower, which I have been reminded does not need to be a triple in the first place. So, I say I've been reminded as if any of you said it. That was just the part of my brain that predicts what you're going to say told me that. So, clean water, cycle 49. I'm very excited to see how much power this generates. I don't remember exactly what the smaller wheel was doing, but I do know this one is rated for 3 1/3 times as much. So, that's fine. I also had people theorizing in the comments about what causes this to just flash on and off. And I don't know that it's really complicated to the point we need to try to theory craft it, but it is related to the flow at the start of the droughts, the start of the regular cycles not being enough to sustain everything. But since we removed this other blockage here, I was very curious to see what happens with this up, because this is still up. And it looks like we're going to be in really good shape when this is bad water, because it's not getting through. So, this will need... Come on. This will need to be lowered. And then, of course, all this other water is coming through here. How much power do you think this is going to generate? I obviously can't read your comments because by the time you post them, I will already have found out. But I'm going to guess, without clicking on this, we're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 3 to 350. Let's see what happens. Whoa! Okay. I will take a cool 583 any day of the week. That's really going to help us out a whole lot, folks. Outstanding. Outstanding. Oh, that's gonna save our butts so much, especially when we replace all of this mess, because these are only 50-ish a piece. And if we can narrow the channel, which yes, the flow is not going to be so high that we're going to have just horrible problems with overflowing or flooding or anything here. It's going to be okay. Now let's blast this out. And blast that out. And then just move that back one more spot. And I'm going to have this go all the way down here. And we'll just have that jog go there. I do have to remember what side the high temperature foundry input is on. It is on the right side. I'm going to have that go and basically this spot, one more over from here, which means this is where this has to connect. Okay. So we can build this power infrastructure without disrupting everything else pathwise. And yeah, it's probably cheaper to just have it go underneath the path and all that, but what do I always say? Well, there's a lot of things I always say, but if it's worth doing something like this, it's worth doing it to a degree that's not going to cause you any further problems. So I will just construct portions of this and not have to worry about whether I'm going to have to move something else in the future. Just grab that there. They'll take care of all that stuff, of course, in due time. Still logs on the ground. It seems they've gotten most of the dirt. All the dirt. Okay, 154. That's not great. How are we doing over here? Astoundingly, almost no progress has been made. Oh yeah, nobody saw that one coming. I'm so happy this is actually like considerable power output. That's good. That is good. But I really, really, really wanted to get this high temperature foundry operating today, if it was at all possible. But what we can do is we can go ahead and research it. We can start building it, because it is going to take dirt and a whole bunch of clay, which we have all the stuff. Except for all the metal blocks. Those are going to have to get made in time. But it's not like we're going to be waiting on materials for this to get built outside of the... Okay, well, I didn't click on that, so it didn't show the Masters of Metallurgy. So I think at this point, because this takes 20 days, almost 21 days to research, I'm going to have to... Oh, cool. If you have more beavers working here, then it obviously takes less. But I'm going to have to divert some beaver resources into this just so this actually starts going. I have enough time left in this episode for us to at least research this. But it might end up causing some other problems. We'll see what happens. For right now, though, I think what's going to make the most sense is for us to start the process of removing all of this terrain. So that is going to mean we don't need to have any of this mess. They can still place all of this stuff, and by stuff I mean dynamite, without us having to, you know, worry so much about everything. So let's start by doing this. We'll just do these bits here, which is going to connect this irrigation to over here, and also allow the large farmhouse to help with harvesting any of this stuff. Obviously, all of this needs to go away, but you already know. I don't need to say it. Progressing anymore? Not really? Okay, well, it is what it is. We're still looking really good on food and water. I wish it was a little bit better, but having additional power is going to help us out a whole lot when we get into some other things as well. We need to have another storage for water in the form of a giant buried tank. Gotta find somewhere good to put it, though. Because this is pretty valuable land near the tree nursery. We probably shouldn't build another one of these things here. There's going to be a better location for a giant water tank somewhere over here at some point. So I think I can set this off safely. Although I might as well just wait a little bit longer for them to put everything else out. They can still reach single high from basically anywhere they can walk to, right? So that shouldn't be a problem. But we're not in such a rush that we need to be that concerned about things. This bridge also is going to go away because this isn't going to, you know, be a separate level anymore. But now I just have those two. They say they can't get materials. So, off we go. And now we take a look at the range of this guy. Look at that! You can get all the way over to here. So it stands to reason that once more of this is removed, then they can help with all of that. And of course, the planting can easily be handled by this farmhouse here. You already know what's going to go in there. It's going to be those blasted sunflowers. Get that popped in. And there you go. So that can also go away. That can become a sunflower. And I think we're going to be in good shape. So this natural overhang here obviously is not particularly useful anymore. And the slope is never going to be used again. So we can start by demolishing this. We can take this out. And then we could take this natural overhang out as well, which is going to open up a little bit of space here if we wanted to deepen this part of the reservoir or move one of those manual pumps over here or something like that. Just food for thought, things to explore. Obviously, it's going to take quite a while before we can do everything we want to do. Okay, still not making a ton of progress on the dynamite here, but we already knew the dynamite was going to be a tall order because we have this Handicrafter's Lodge and this Handicrafter's Lodge both backlogged by nitroglycerin, which is being made here and is waiting on... Actually, I guess it's just waiting on labor. Okay. So this is where I have to, you know, kind of, you know, pick a bone with you guys a little bit. I made a comment last episode that there's no such thing as alchemy in the world of Timberborn. And then a whole bunch of you said, well, you have an alchemist lodge. That's alchemy. Okay, I'm talking about like the traditional medieval definition of alchemy where you turn trash into gold. That's not what's happening here. They're not turning trash into gold. They're turning ingredients into a recipe. That's not alchemy. That's not the... See, I don't even know enough about it, but I just... Look, when I was a kid, the whole alchemy thing was always advertised as you turn nothing into gold. You get rich quick. It's like the original get rich quick scheme. I hadn't even thought about that. But yes, I am aware that there is a building in this mod called The Alchemist, and I am aware that I have, I don't know, 10 of them on the map or something. That's not what that was going for. So, anyway, we can move on from that. And I do think it is going to be a smart idea for us to plan out where our connection from here over to here is going to go. Oh, hey, look, I've got more exploding to do. Okay, get that done there. So a 6-long bridge, which I have yet to research, but a 6-long bridge will reach out to cover this tile here, which means this is going to be the end of the other 6-long bridge that I'm going to invariably attach to something, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. So that means the root of the bridge is going to be this block and this block. So right next to these guys here. That's going to mean that we will have to have something. They could be platforms, they could be whatever. It has to be something it can stand on top of. And the bridge things in this mod don't block anything, so we know that's not going to be an issue. But we need them to be able to utilize these bridges to access both the ground and what's connected up top. So, in service of that idea, I do want to try something out real quick in a space where no one is going to be tempted to build anything. And that is, can I stack these things? I guess I have to research this now, which, you know, we're going to use anyway, but can I... Oh my god, there's no reason for that to be allowed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry. Oh, you messed up letting me do that. Wait, what? Okay, there's no way that's actually going to allow that to get built. I'm not going to try it because it might crash the game. So, now that we've made that absolutely incredible discovery, oh yes, friends, this has opened up so many beautiful, horrible ideas. All right, okay, let's do this here. Let's put in 2 blocks of dynamite because I do want them to be able to access the crops from this, because this is going to connect over here. But I'm gonna I can't believe this is gonna work. I'm gonna take those 2 out, and I do have a little bit of explosives, but I need it to go. I need it to go faster. Nitroglycerin. Do I dare turn another one of these into a nitroglycerin factory? Okay, we're full on tar, so you know what? What the heck, we'll do it. We'll do that. I honestly probably should be focusing efforts on getting some more water storage, but fun, weird, hey, you shouldn't be allowed to do this type stuff is one of the best things to do in this game. This really isn't that much faster, even with all these beavers in here. I guess we're just real slow. But we're at 276 scrap metal out of 300, which is a big achievement. Paper, going to take a little bit longer. Methane especially going to take a little bit longer. But we're making good progress. And the scrap metal was the one I was really, really worried about because it's, well, it goes into almost everything else that we're trying to do right now. So getting at least that taken care of is really going to help. And there's not too much else we need to be worried about with that. All right. Blast these out. I am going to put in... I guess I could put a ladder going here. Yeah, we'll do that. And then, you know, again, update 5 Waterbeavers. You weren't allowed to stack platforms, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So this gets to go here. And then that will get to go here. And then guess what? That lines up absolutely perfectly. Oh wait, this uses 20 metal each, and I just used... Okay. We're gonna hit pause on these until we have our other thing taken care of. But that goes right here, which is going to mean that I can put in ladder here and here. And then, of course, I will have that paused. And then I will have... let me click on this bottom one. No. Okay. Well, I'll pause that one, too. Is this ugly? Yes, it absolutely is. Is it going to work? Yes, it absolutely will. Should I be able to get away with this? No, I absolutely should not. Am I going to get away with it? Yes, absolutely. So... we'll move on. I guess this one bridge is a monument to my hubris because I forgot I needed all these metal blocks. Oh boy. Well, at least we're making more power than we're using for the most part. And drill bits, still an issue because of methane. See, everything is in service of all of these goals. There is a reason. There is, in fact, a reason. Hey, these are all ready to go. Let's hit that explode button. Beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. So now this is going to have to fill a little bit more, but I get to plant a bunch of lotuses. That's really going to help. That is a tremendous additional amount of lotuses. These guys, of course, can reach all of this, and then we'll continue as we get stuff blocked off. You know how it goes. They are taking their sweet time with all of this stuff, let me tell you. You know, a high power shaft probably was a much cheaper, better method of me doing this. I'm just like, oh, I like the upward power shaft and the downward power shaft because they work. Oh, you know what? This is good if you don't have platforms, and this is good if you don't have gears. I got a lot of gears, so yeah, platforms or scaffolding, I should say. Scaffolding, that's the correct name. That's been a concern, so we'll just do that. Alright, so this, of course, is put in here so that when we do build the high-temperature foundry, it can just connect very easily right into that corner right there. Back this thing all the way up, and that should be fine. But we do still have to wait. You know how it goes. And that is slowly charging up, which is very, very good news. This is full of green peas. This is now empty of green peas, which means I can build a large warehouse, which, yes, is going to use scaffolding, but this is, I believe, necessary to make sure that all of this is going to be working. I do only have 55 across the whole map, though, so this does seem like a good time for us to make sure these guys are supplied. It takes 14 hours to make one. That's one of those, just one of those things. So this guy has been paused forever. Let's unpause. Try to get a few more beavers in here as well. And then get to work making even more scaffoldings. We have 1,200 planks, which might seem like a lot of planks, but we're going to be glad we had them when time comes for them to be used. How are we doing here? Full on scrap metal. Excellent news. Paper's catching up. Methane obviously is not going to catch up until we actually make it. But we've been making some pretty good progress with that, and I think we can feel pretty satisfied. At least for the time being. This thing's just spurting away over here. I want to put large water wheels in here so bad, but I know I can't do it. Gonna have to wait for another drought, and then we have to do this one first, because that's gonna be a problem. And now we've actually started using most of our dirt. Not all of it, but most of it. This is already kind of a problem here, because I have to be able to replace these things. Okay, well these blockages can just be removed and replaced with levees. And they should be able to just walk on top over. Yep, there we go. Take those out. That's where a bunch of my dirt's going. But if that's gone and that's gone, I can put 2 more levees in here, and that should give us a little bit more space here. Not a ton, but a little bit more space. Yeah, see, that's killing those now because I haven't gotten that put in place, but should be, hopefully, a nice help for us there. Okay, so coming back over here to the land of a whole bunch of explosives and some nonsense with this. The rate at which we are consuming dirt, we already discussed, is a problem for, solving our other irrigation issues. But we have so much gold dust, relatively speaking. We don't need to be turning our dirt into gold anymore. Or I guess I should say, especially the way I worded that thing about the alchemy earlier, we should not be going through the dirt with the purpose of looking for gold, because that's what this does. This does not turn dirt into gold. Mechanically speaking, I guess it technically does. But anyway, I hope that all of us can come to the understanding that what I meant was not what you guys thought I said. And we can just move on from that. It is kind of funny, though. So now I pause those, so we have... Wow, it's actually dead even. Okay, so... no harm, no foul, nothing bad happened there. That's good. Gotta have another storage for water. Absolutely must find somewhere to put water. So the problem is this is all pretty useful prime real estate. And remember what I said a little bit ago about wanting to remove these overhangs is this is going to give us some space that we could, if we're smart with it, turn into a storage tank for water. And it's my understanding that as long as the doorway is not flooded, this building will be fine. So, if I were to unlock the top entrance giant buried tank, it is a 3-block deep thing, which this is 3 blocks deep. If I remove this mess and I remove this billboard and move it somewhere else, which honestly that's a pretty good spot for it for the whole buff thing, but it's probably free to build, no? I actually don't remember. No, it's cost 6. Okay. Well, it's fine. Point being, I can move this somewhere else, and it's not going to be an issue. So we'll get rid of that natural overhang, and then we're going to have a spot right about here where at least one side of this can pretty easily be supported in a way that it's not going to explode. We will see. But I'm going to have to put in some platforms and stuff on the side, on one of the sides, to be able to take care of that. Remember what we did over here was we just used dirt for most of it, and then I did have these platforms on this one corner. I felt like that was fine. This right here, of course, is supported entirely by storage buildings and is a substantially cheesier solution. This will be somewhere between the two. But it's going to work just fine. Don't you worry. Cabbage storage is empty. That can be removed. Brambleflower storage can be emptied. That one is empty. We can reconfigure this just a touch. Just a touch. Remember that the thing has to have somewhere for the supports to go, which is why this path really should not be removed. But if I take this out, and then I take this blockage out, which is not holding any amount of water back because it's got these two on a diagonal here, then that will give me, including where the pathway is, a 3-wide space. And they can do that through that corner. It's kind of fun. So we have a couple options here. I can do this kind of thing, and I can move the hand of soup, technically the warm storage, which this is making rice balls, and this is making braised cabbage, and we don't even have that much braised cabbage in this district to begin with. This isn't really doing a whole lot of stuff here and can go somewhere else. That would not be a problem. If I moved that, then I could use one side of this and some of this as a support. Would not be a bad deal. Objects above block demolition. Okay, that's on me. Alright, so they'll take care of that. If I don't want to move the hand of soup, then I can still make use of this space here without impeding access to the cooking house by taking these paths out here. And by doing that, all I have to do is take out here and here. That will give 2 blocks here, and then I just have to have something here and then something here, and then this cooking tent will need to be moved. Not the most ideal setup, no, but it will be somewhere that is otherwise going mostly unused, and I think that will be fine. So remember, it's a 3 deep hole, which means I will need to do triple dynamite here, and then a single dynamite here, 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 here. Then the rest of that will just have to be built up. The entrance will be over here. So we have the technology to do this with minimal weeping or gnashing of teeth necessary. And we have, okay, it just moved. We have explosives enough to hopefully be able to take care of that as well. So they'll be able to do all of this with the exception of these 3 down here. I believe we will need to put in just some stairs here real quick so they can access everything. Blast that away and be good to go. Now this cooking house does not have to make spicy soda. That's just what it is currently making. We can have them make fried rice, although the fried rice currently being made over here is probably a lot better. So I think what's going to make the most sense for this area is going to be for us to just completely take all of this out, including this other cooking tent. Just remove it all. And this isn't happening right now anyway. We have 600 spicy sodas that have to have somewhere to go. I have storage for 0 spicy soda. So that does need a tank somewhere. See, I have so little space for basically anything. Alright. I know. I have to cram stuff in wherever it's going to fit, or else it's never, ever, 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 ever going to work and do anything. Yeah, see, they're drinking that stuff now. Let's just remove that. This is making kimchi, kind of. It's mostly done, and that one's almost completely done. So I'm going to let that finish, but then I'm going to remove these fermentation barrels, and we're going to radically transform this entire area, which I guess does mean we could move the warm storage, but I kind of like this. I kind of like this being here. Doesn't mean we have to keep it, though. Alright. Come on. 100%. Okay, that's done. Now we just have this to take care of. Blast it away. Blast it away. And now I'm pausing the game for reasons unknown to man or science. This will fit here if I just build up the remaining sides. So, simplest thing to do, like we've discussed, is just to do one of these numbers. That's not the right button. And then pop that guy right there. I think this is fine. I'm not worried about it. You may choose to be worried about it, and that is okay. But by putting this here, we can have the path come out this way. We could even potentially hook it up to something up here. Okay, now I've had another terrible idea. Of course that works. Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to do it. But I am going to, as ugly and horrible as this is, I am going to put this giant buried tank here, have it set to water, and I'm going to leave the warm storage, hand of soup, etc. where it is. So, because of how that is laid out, I can put this right here, and I can have this just go back through this side, but I don't really think that's going to be the best possible solution here because of how this is laid out, because we have all of this kind of offset here. This whole center of the map is just an abomination, right? It's a bunch of mess that we made a long time ago that we haven't changed because it's always been this way. And to do so otherwise would be a massive inconvenience. So, it's just going to become something that is not fun. But what we can take the time to do, because the hand of soup is already here, we can take our cooking tents, and I can flip that guy, and I can put that right there, and then both of these can make braised cabbage, which goes here. And then behind it, we can have the ingredients for the braised cabbage as soon as the fermentation barrel is done. And then the water can just come straight through here, and it should not be a big deal. I'm going to have space. If I take these 2 trees out, which given the amount of chestnuts we have and are not using, I'm not going to feel bad about doing. Just take that out, get this brought across here. I don't think we need these staircases, so I'm not going to feel bad about getting rid of those. And we'll just platform our way over to this mess and get a move on some way, somehow. Now, I know one of these was set to braised cabbage, one was set to the rice balls. We probably should keep one of these set to rice balls, so I guess I'll just do that. But just wanted to make it known we're trying to, solve the problem of not having enough water storage. We're getting there. Okay, progress over here at all. Okay, 400 out of 1,000, not bad. We paused panning for gold, so we're getting more dirt, or we're keeping more dirt, I should say. None of our numbers are slowly climbing. Does this district have a thing for methane? I don't think it does. Alright, so I've got fermentation. Oh, no, we totally do. We have 2 of them. Okay, so that is working, and that is having stuff delivered. I guess that's fine. I don't know how I would have missed that. But I did. Okay, this is going to need to get connected at some point. We might as well just have that be sometime right about now. Just, you know, just because. So that's going to go there. Mark that as a top priority. Why would... You know what? No, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to delete it. Just going to delete it. We'll move on with our lives. Yeah, still waiting on more nitroglycerin, even though we've got 2 of these. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Yeah, so they are waiting on nothing except labor. Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little bit... Ah, saltpeter. We need more. And that is 1.7 hours, giving us 1. And this is the mountain salt. Oh, I forget. Can I get those out of the medium mines? I really should know this stuff. I can. Okay. So I've got coal. I've got iron. I don't think I need this much coal right now, so... These can also store reasonably nice quantities of things without having extra, you know, storage built up. But, oh wow, look at the time. It's an hour and 7 minutes. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap this up here in a bit anyhow. I just needed to get some more stuff taken care of so we don't run out of various materials. Let's swap this over to saltpeter. It's 1 hour per unit. This is... where's the other thing? Okay, 1.7 hours. That's fine. That's going to help. Everything is a supply chain, yes. Everything needs to be analyzed, blah, 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 blah. But it's Waterbeavers. It's a mess. That's the way she goes. So now the spicy soda situation is getting spicy, I guess you could say. Because it is going to be on the ground with not really anywhere for it to go until they finish that container, which... Oh, it is? Okay. Well, I guess they can start picking stuff up off the ground. They already finished this? Wow, okay. So that works. I was honestly kind of nervous this was not going to allow it to do that, so... It's fine. Okay, I'm just going to cut that out there. Now I need storages for stuff that goes into the braised cabbage, which is cabbages and mushrooms. Very easy to... Oh, you know what I could do is I could make this a pit warehouse if I blasted this out. I could do a couple of those, actually. I could do like 4 of those right here and probably be fine. I also had the idea, you know, because this is a 3x2 space, I could just put the cooking house back in that was making the spicy sodas. But I'm going to have to look at the recipe for that. Oh, it's just brambles and water. That is such a smart idea. Is it ugly? Yes. Oh, that's the wrong button. There we go. I really need to remember what these buttons do. I've got enough time in the game. Alright. Back to spicy soda duty with you. And as far as over here, I'm going to blast this away and then we're going to put in some pit storage. Because we got water right here. That's a perfect place for it. Just reorganize things a little bit. Okay, water-wise, 44... metal. How in the world... I need to take a nap for like 3 days. Oh, wow. This is almost finished. Well, with resource gathering. It's because of all the new nenifars and stuff we have. I only need 11 more methane to start the research in the Masters of Metallurgy. That's very encouraging. Very, 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 very encouraging. How about over here? 476 out of 1,000. Okay. Well, dirt's not going to come any faster. Just one of those things. And since we've done this, I guess technically I've gotten another few squares. This terrain block needed to be put in place so that I could remove this. Wait a minute. No. I don't have to do that. I just put in a levee here, and then I can remove this levee, and then I can put... There you go. There you go. It's time to end the episode. My brain's completely disconnected. I can put a piece of terrain here, and then I can put a levee here, which is going to really, really help this. And, you know, also getting rid of this nonsense up here and making this, you know, not come all the way over here is going to help as well. Oh, boy, it's bad tide time. You know what that means, folks? It means it's time for this episode to be done, if it wasn't already. So, yes, did we get to everything I wanted to do today? Nah, not really, but we did discuss just about everything that was raised as a concern in the comments that I thought was worth bringing up at this moment in time. Still plenty of things to do, as we've seen, but we've made very, very good progress. Gotten a couple things taken care of, and I think we are in really good shape. So, other things that we haven't really done a ton with, there's a couple pathing issues people brought up that need to be addressed still. There's a couple of issues with some supply chains that haven't gotten taken care of. But what we did today is going to make a huge difference, and because we have the Simple Floodgate Triggers mod set to Bad Tide Defense, I'm not going to have to worry about it when the next episode comes up. But yeah, it's beyond time for me to be done with this episode and move on to some other stuff. I really appreciate you guys watching these. I say it every single episode because it needs to be said every single episode. Beard Boosters make this possible. Cannot do it without their support. So thank you for supporting the channel, for enabling the insanity of essentially completely unedited Let's Plays of extremely frustrating, extremely complicated mods like this. With episode 44, and we're like barely in the mid-game. But I really do appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.